Hello everyone, best of the season to you. We're doing a quick Zoom meeting that we're going to put out to you on YouTube and send to you all as members to review the recent fundraising effort that we did with the club for Feed Ontario. And I've made some notes here to myself I'm going to be referring to. So we well exceeded our target. We raised $21,733, which I think that the campaign officially ends tomorrow. Maybe there'll be the odd straggler. And I have with me, as you can see on the screen, a lady by the name of Rachel Dixon, no relation, same spelling. And she is the Director of Development with Feed Ontario. Is that correct, Rachel?
That is correct. Okay, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So basically, we wanted to just talk about, if you could just start off by telling us a little bit about the history of the organization and how it works. And then I've got a few other questions I want to ask you as well.
Sure. And once again, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your incredible support. 21,000, that's absolutely amazing. And I'm sure more will come in by the time we finish this interview as well.
Yeah, we're very pleased.
Definitely. So to give you a little bit of background about Feed Ontario, we started more than 25 years ago now as a response to the local food banks across Ontario who were looking at hunger in their province and in their local communities and wondering how can we work together better to serve our communities. So we started with just 12 food banks coming together to work together, and in the last 3 decades we've now become an organization of 1,200 food banks right across the province. Yeah. So today, Feed Ontario serves a network of 130 direct member food banks, and then through them, another 1,100 affiliate organizations. So that's anything from a breakfast club or a meal program through to a food bank pantry, or even a shelter or other emergency food supports in local communities. And through those agencies, we support 537,000 people right across the province of Ontario facing hunger. 1 in 3 is a child. So our work is really about helping fill in the food gaps for food banks in Ontario and ensuring that they have the food and the resources they need to support their communities.
So that's awesome. And that's really what we wanted to do. We wanted something as our club grows, we're all over Ontario now, and we wanted something that would appeal to the communities that everybody lives in, basically. So give us an idea, the funds that we show you, the 21,733, that was actually the monies that you've got to spend after some small handling fees, I believe, correct? But the people get a full tax receipt for the amount that they donated. But give us an idea how that money would be spent. How do you decide how to allocate it? Where in the regions of Ontario? I think you mentioned a couple of things. Does it go to actually provide meals and or hard goods and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, for every $1 we receive, we can provide the equivalent of 3 meals. So that means that your $21,000 that's been raised will actually help to provide 63,000 meals across the province, which is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way that we work is most of that will become food and food support for food banks right across the province. 76% of the food we distribute is fresh or frozen. So things like fruit and veg, meat, dairy, and eggs. And the way that it works is that we use a program called SNAP, which helps us to equitably allocate food right across the province.
So what's the program called again?
It's called SNAP. So it was developed specifically for us, and it's an IT program that essentially looks at all the food banks in our network. It looks at how many people they serve in each community, what their capacity and their storage is like, when was the last time they received foods, and then uses algorithms to help allocate according to those things so that we're ensuring that everyone has equal access to food.
So in other words, our money and anybody else that raises it goes into a fund, and then you decide through your algorithm how it gets allocated by region and what specific program it's allocated to and what method.
That's correct. Yeah, and that just helps us ensure that everyone is having equal access to food. And it also means that communities that might have greater access to support are still on the same level as communities that don't have as much support or as much local food growing in their area as well. So it really helps us ensure that no matter where you are in the province, if you're facing hunger, there will be access to food in your community.
Okay, great. And what have you seen with the impact of COVID-19, say the last 8 months compared to previous years or previous same time last year? What's the impact on people?
Yeah, definitely. So even prior to COVID-19, we were starting to see an increase in the number of people accessing food banks across Ontario. However, since the pandemic has hit and we've seen a number of people experiencing job loss or less opportunities to work and decreased revenue and income coming in, we have seen even more people accessing food banks for the first time. So in the last 8 months, we've had a 26% increase in the number of people and families visiting a food bank in Ontario for the very first time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite shocking. And in addition to that, we're also seeing that food banks are struggling with things like supply chain issues, and they just don't have the same kind of access to food in their communities that they might have, because things like events or food drives that would normally be running haven't been able to run due to restrictions. And they've also been impacted by the number of people they're allowed on site, which means their service models have to change, but also they can't have the same number of volunteers on site supporting.
How are you tracking for your fundraising overall this year?
Yeah, I mean, having said all of that, we have been overwhelmed by the support from communities and organizations and individuals right across Ontario, and we have had some incredible support. So we have been able to do more. In a normal year, we would distribute about 5 to 6 million pounds of food right across the province, which equates to around 4.5 million meals. In the last 8 months since the pandemic started, we've actually distributed more than 20 million pounds.
Wow, oh geez.
Yeah.
Huge difference, huge difference.
Yeah, so there definitely is a big need this year, but at the same time, the ways that communities have stepped up to support and those who haven't been hit in the same way are joining us to ensure that those who have been hit hardest by this crisis have access to food has been really encouraging and really incredible. And thank you so much to all of your members for being part of that response.
Well, again, I'm glad that we discovered you as an organization, because I know that, I'll keep that in mind for future for donations, outside of our program here. And I want to thank everybody that's watching, especially the people that actually contributed. We had members contribute on their own. We had members who had their companies contribute. We had sponsors contributed. And of course, some of us set up campaigns where our circle, our network of friends, business associates and relatives and whatnot contributed. So I think that's how we certainly exceeded our goals. It went from 10 to 15,000. We decided to just stop increasing the goal because it just kept on going. So that's great. And before we wind this up, do you have any questions for me about us or our club or anything like that?
No questions, but just once again wanted to say thank you so much for thinking of us, and thank you so much to you for organizing and all your members for supporting and all the other partners who've helped make this possible. 63,000 plus meals is really incredible, and there are so many families that will benefit from this as we go into the holiday season.
Well, yes, again, when we're very proud of that. We decided, not only are we a social club or an enthusiast club, but we always want to try to give back to the community in many ways. So that's great. And I think we're going to officially end the campaign tomorrow, and Anise will probably talk to you how to turn that off. But do we get some sort of advice from you in an email or something to say that it's ended and acknowledge the dollar amount, that kind of thing? Or
yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely follow up with you once the campaign's ended with the total amount raised, how many meals that is, and the programs that it will be supporting across Ontario.
Excellent. Well, Rachel, you got a great last name. We're probably related somewhere. but
somewhere way back.
Yeah, good talking to you. And thanks very much. All the best of the season to you and your family and everybody that works there. And again, I want to thank everybody. Tesla Owners Ontario. I'm pointing to the right area right there somewhere. Anyhow, appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll work with you again next year.
Sounds great. And once again, thank you so much for joining with us to Feed Ontario.